Have you ever just stopped and wondered, how did we get here? How did we go from these simple, flickering images of a little boy in a sailor suit to the global, multi-billion-dollar cultural force that is modern anime? Well, it's a wild journey that took over 100 years, full of pioneers, revolutions, and game-changing masterpieces. So let's break down exactly how it all happened.
We're going to trace the entire history, right from its silent, incredibly fragile beginnings all the way to its status today as a legit global phenomenon. This is the story of how Japanese animation took over the world.
All right, so let's rewind way back to the turn of the 20th century. Now, before film was even a thing, Japan already had this rich history of visual storytelling. They were using things like magic lanterns and illustrated scrolls to entertain people, so you could say this long tradition of moving images really set the stage for everything that was about to come.
And you know, what's really wild is just how fragile this new art form was. The earliest clip we know of, Katsudo Shashin, is from around 1907, and it's literally just a few seconds long. By 1917, animators were making actual films for the public. But then, tragically, the Great Kanto earthquake of 1923 hit and wiped out almost all of this early work. It's like a whole chapter of history was just gone.
But from that early period, there are three names that you really need to know. The guys often called the fathers of anime. You had Oten Shimakawa, who came from the world of political cartoons. Then there was Junichiro Uchi, who was the painter, the technical whiz of the group. And finally, Seitaro Kitayama, the independent guy who went off and started his own studio. These three laid the groundwork for everything.
Okay, now let's fast forward. After the devastation of World War II, Japan began to rebuild, and so did its animation industry. And this next era, well, it's basically defined by one single person who would change absolutely everything.
Osamu Tezuka. It is impossible, and I mean impossible, to overstate how important this guy was. He's known as the god of manga for a reason, and his vision for animation basically created the template for the industry as we know it today. But how'd he do it?
He did it with this show, Astro Boy. When it came out in 1963, it was a total game changer. It established the whole weekly production model by pioneering cost-saving techniques like limited animation. We're talking using fewer drawings per second, reusing artwork. This not only made a weekly TV anime possible, it also created its distinct look. And of course, it proved that this stuff could make a ton of money. Plus, Astro Boy was the first series to really get shown to audiences in the West.
The change was just night and day. I mean, think about it. Before Tezuka, animation in Japan was mostly short, experimental films you'd see in a theater. After Tezuka and Astro Boy, it was a full-blown weekly television industry, pumping out commercial entertainment right into people's living rooms. It completely flipped the script. So this new TV model set the stage. And then came the 70s and 80s, which saw an absolute explosion of creativity. Anime wasn't just one thing anymore. It was branching out, finding all these new voices and starting to make its way across the globe.
I mean, just look at how things blew up. We got the giant robot, or mecha, genre, which itself split into super robots, the superhero kind, and the more gritty, realistic, real robots. We got epic space operas that spanned galaxies and dark, gritty cyberpunk stories. The storytelling possibilities just blew wide open.
And it all kind of kicked off with shows like Mazinger Z. This was the ultimate power fantasy, right? For the first time, a hero was piloting their giant robot from a cockpit inside of it. That right there, that established the super robot genre. Then, just 2 years later, bam! Space battleship Yamato comes along and takes audiences on this incredible journey to save Earth. It basically created the entire template for anime space opera, and its success was just massive. And then in 1979, Mobile Suit Gundam changed the game again. It treated giant robots not as invincible heroes, but as realistic, complex weapons of war. It focused on politics and the human cost of conflict, and in doing so, it popularized that real robot genre. And as the 80s wrapped up, one film just detonated on the world stage: Akira. This 1988 masterpiece with its mind-blowing animation and really adult themes became a massive cult hit overseas. It was the film that screamed to the rest of the world that animation was not just for kids. So all that global attention from films like Akira kicked off a brand new age. The 90s and 2000s, this is when anime got way more complex, more introspective, and started earning the highest levels of critical acclaim from all over the world. And no show represents this era better than 1995's Neon Genesis Evangelion. It took that giant robot genre and just turned it completely inside out.
It used it as a way to explore these deep, sometimes painful, psychological and philosophical ideas. It really challenged its audience, and it became an absolute cultural touchstone.
At the very same time, anime films were hitting these incredible new artistic heights. Ghost in the Shell was so influential it famously inspired big chunks of movies like The Matrix. Princess Mononoke was an epic on a breathtaking scale. And then came the masterpiece that would break down the final barrier, Spirited Away.
2003. That's the year. That was the year Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature. This was the moment of ultimate validation. An anime film had won the highest prize in the industry. It proved it could compete with and beat anything in the world.
That Oscar win didn't just open the door, it kicked it clean off its hinges, leading us right into the modern era, where technology would make anime an inescapable part of global pop culture.
So what was the final catalyst? One word: streaming. Services like Crunchyroll, Netflix, and Amazon Prime just removed all the old barriers. Suddenly, hundreds of shows were available, legally and instantly, to anyone with an internet connection. The floodgates were officially open. And the results? Well, they've been absolutely staggering. Get this. In 2020, in the middle of a global pandemic, an anime film, Demon Slayer Mugen Train, wasn't just the highest-grossing film in Japan, it was the highest-grossing film in the entire world.
And it's not just movies. In 2022, Attack on Titan beat out every single other show on the planet to be named the world's most in-demand series. That was another historic first for a non-English show.
And the critical acclaim just keeps coming. In 2024, more than 2 decades after Spirited Away, Hayao Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli did it again, winning another Oscar for The Boy and the Heron. This golden age is far from over. We're still living in it. So, from just a few hand-drawn frames to a global cultural and economic powerhouse, anime's journey has been absolutely incredible. It has proven, time and time again, its ability to constantly reinvent itself. The only real question now is, what comes next?